what if that self-improvement plan that you came up with is really just a self-rejection plan with better branding? Or or what if that voice in your head that says that it wants the best for you is actually an unpaid prison guard, right? This is what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about the inner war that we call growth. The inner war that we learn to call growth. Hi, Susan. Love you, baby. It's so good to see you. Welcome. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Percy. Great that you all are here. So I want to talk to you about this. Welcome to Walking the Path. This idea of what we learn to call growth is actually self-rejection. It's actually us trying to fix ourselves instead of realizing that there's nothing ever wrong. And before I get into that, I want to talk to you for a second about Rythmia, because this talk is under the auspices of Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica. I've been here for almost 9 years, 8.5 years, something like that. And I've seen so much transformation at this beautiful place. And if you're ready to end the inner civil war, if you're ready to stop rejecting yourself, Rythmia is the place. If you're ready to hear what's genuine in you and connect with your heart, Rythmia is the place. So reach out to me, DM me, go to the website, rythmia.com. Come see us down here. We'd love to have you, and you would love to be here. Okay, so the inner civil war, more aptly, the inner civil war that we learned to call growth. You know, for years I thought that healing meant becoming more disciplined, more evolved, more spiritually symmetrical. You know, I thought growth meant upgrading from the flawed version of me. Like I was version 1.0 and needed some serious, patch update. And then I remembered Michelangelo's quote about David. He said, "I saw the angel in the marble and I carved until I set him free." You know, he didn't say, "I built David from scratch because marble's trash." He didn't say the figure. What he did say was the figure was already there. The figure was already there. He just took away the stuff that wasn't the statue, the angel. And maybe the thought here is that he didn't remove David. And that's very different, because maybe this path of growth and expansion isn't about improving yourself or myself. It's not about us improving. It's not about us becoming better, more disciplined, more focused, more spiritual. It's really about us uncovering what was never broken in us to begin with, what was never wrong. There's something in us that was never broken, never wrong. And this is the trap, right? Because my desire to heal quietly turned into an attack. How did that work? I want to heal. The desire to heal and grow and expand is natural and it's beautiful. How does that beautiful idea turn into an attack? Because it's coming from the idea that I'm trying to fix myself from the assumption that there was something wrong with me. And it's really subtle. Nobody calls that an attack. You know what we call it? We call it growth. We call it discipline. We call it having high standards. We call it, I'm just being hard on myself because I care. But that's just a rebrand, actually. Nobody ever told me it was a war. And it's really what it was, this noble self-improvement plan to overcome, to overcome my faults, to overcome my flaws. Very spiritual, gold star spirituality. You know what I mean? But over time, I noticed something, that the version of me was never quite there. I never quite arrived. And the goalpost kept moving. I would grow, I'd improve, I'd level up. And then the inner voice would say, great, now more. And I became both the prisoner and the prison guard of myself, and my prison guard was really good. He's really good. He's very articulate. He has a TED talk and he quotes scripture and, philosophical books, and he uses the therapy language, but he's still a freaking guard. it's still an idea that I need to improve or fix or change something about myself, which is ultimately self-rejection. And Carl Jung says it very clearly. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Let me repeat that. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate. Hear that. Condemnation doesn't liberate. Condemnation doesn't heal. It oppresses. When I condemn myself, I think I'm being hard on myself so I can just, move forward, but I'm actually oppressing myself. It's like inside my head. It can produce compliance and it can even produce temporary change, like duct tape. You know what I mean? Like it's a temporary fix, but not permanent. It works for a little while, but it ain't going to stick around for long. No, but it does not produce integration. It does not reunite with something that here's the thing, you cannot reunite with something that you're actively at war with. When I'm condemning myself, critiquing myself, I'm at war with myself. How can I reunite? How can I come to wholeness? How can I heal? And here's the sneaky part. Most of us aren't walking around thinking, I hate myself. Nobody's walking around thinking, I hate myself. I'm condemning myself. No, it's much quieter than that. It's like these micro corrections. That's really the thing. It's these little microaggressions, little internal edits that happen all the time. I should be like, oh, maybe I should be farther along right now. I shouldn't feel this way. I'm spiritual people don't get angry. Spiritual people don't do that. I should be more disciplined. I should be calmer. I should be more grateful. I should be more spiritual than this. This is not growth. This is occupation. This is a war against ourselves. It's not really a war. It's like a low grade occupation. When if you're at war, there's like a front line. But if the territory is occupied and there's like guerrilla warfare, well, there's just no clear front line, and it's just this constant state of skirmishes popping up all over the place. That's what we do to ourselves. Nobody's walking around going, I'm a piece of shit. Maybe sometimes we get there, but the majority of the time we're just saying, oh, I should be better. I should be further along. I shouldn't be doing that. I should be more reactive, or less reactive, and more responsive. It's a low grade internal policing that never fully shuts off. And it's freaking exhausting. I'm exhausted. But what I'm turning to now is self-compassion. Self-compassion, the end of this self-violence, this microaggressions against ourselves. And acceptance isn't giving up. Acceptance isn't resigning. Acceptance isn't resignation. It's putting down the weapons. It's like a ceasefire for just a minute. Just a minute. If we can cease the war, the lobbing of the policing, just stop for a second. But here's the thing, acceptance isn't passive either. Now, here's where people get a little nervous. They're like, okay, but when you say acceptance, people hear laziness, right? Or they think, if I just accept my chaos, I accept my procrastination, I accept my drama. No, acceptance isn't passive, it's responsive. And let me tell you something that really humbled me. Last year I was in ceremony and I had this beautiful vision. I had done a ceremony. The intention for this ceremony was to heal this story that I'm broken. And so I that was my intention, to heal this unbroken story. And I started having these beautiful visions, and all of them were on the left side of my body. And I just had this, the right side was dark. The left side had all this pinta, all these sacred geometry and beautiful shapes and swirls. This is all dark on this side. And what did I do? I tried to fix it. I needed to center it, right? It was over here and I needed to center it, and I tried to fix it. I tried to balance it. I tried to make it symmetrical, and as if the universe had made a small error, and thank God, don't worry, I'm here to correct this universe. Let me just make this symmetrical, right? As if the medicine was just a little off and I needed to adjust it a little bit, just help it out. It was just a little, You know how the medicine can make mistakes. So, you know, every time I tried to balance it, it would go back. And finally, I heard a voice, that voice that comes. It's not a voice, it's a thing with your whole feeling. You hear it with your whole being. And it's, this is how it happens for you. And it was like, oh, I wasn't accepting my healing. I was managing it. I confused harmony with symmetry. And I think about Alexander Calder's mobiles. If you haven't, I'm talking about the mobile, like the little mobile that sits over the crib and it's, totally symmetrical. I think of Alexander Calder's mobiles. And he's an artist, a sculptor. There's a mobile hanging, the Calder Tower is hanging in the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. And it's this huge structure and none of it's symmetrical. It doesn't look like the mobile above the baby's crib, right? And it's this like very non-symmetrical, asymmetrical structure. It's ginormous. And if you touch one part of it, the whole thing like and balances again. But it doesn't balance in this way of symmetry, but it's balance. Right? It's these massive hanging sculptures. Nothing matches, nothing lines up, nothing is centered, and yet they're exquisitely balanced. And it's not fixed, it's not frozen, it's always adjusting, right? It's always moving. And that's where I saw that balance is dynamic. Balance is not a fixed point. Balance is dynamic. Acceptance is dynamic. And it's lapse. It's to be responsive, right? Our balance is responsive to the current circumstances and conditions, not because there's anything wrong, but because we're alive. Life is going to change and we're going to have to respond. It's how are we responding? And our responsiveness, it's this acceptance. Like there's nothing wrong with me. I'm asymmetrical, but I'm balanced. Don't confuse balance with symmetry. Don't confuse symmetry with balance. Balance can be asymmetrical. And this reminds me of something Pema Chodron in her book, Start Where You Are. She talks about Buddha, and that Buddha is not this historical figure that's, super spiritual, but that Buddha means awakened consciousness. It means awakened awareness. And awareness itself, the part of us that can hold experience without judgment. This is key. This is what responsiveness is. It's being able to hold experience without judgment. So she talks about this, and then I kind of extrapolated from that, put a Buddha on it. The idea is that there's not one part of you or me that doesn't deserve to be accepted, to be loved. Even the parts we don't like, especially the parts that we don't like, especially the parts that we think are the worst parts of us, the parts we don't want anybody to see, and we'd be terribly embarrassed if they found out. Those are the parts that we have to love completely and unconditionally. Love and accept those parts. And we can love and accept those parts. That's putting a Buddha on it, right? So let's say I had a beautiful lunch today with eggs and salad and lentils and hummus. Well, that's a lot of beans. So if I ate too much of those lentils and hummus and I start farting in the middle of walking the path, that's farting Buddha. If I intend to be responsive and somebody says something and I blow up, I'm angry Buddha. If I walk out here and fall on my face, that's fall on my face Buddha. If I say something stupid in here and embarrass myself, there's Buddha who said something stupid and embarrassed himself. There's not one part. So putting a Buddha on it means like I'm putting my awareness on it, and it makes it a little easier to accept that's part of my nature and there's nothing wrong with it, right? put a Buddha on it. In meditation, when my mind wanders or something uncomfortable comes up, I put a Buddha on it. Just that's my Buddha nature. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing that doesn't belong. There's nothing that doesn't belong. There's nothing that can't be accepted about you, that you have to accept that. And when that inner critic shows up, put a fucking Buddha on it, baby. You know, comparison flares up, put a Buddha on it. Shame arises, put a Buddha on it. I'm going to put a Buddha on it. I'm going to put a Buddha on it. I want you to put a Buddha on it, all right? Awareness without correction. That's it. Awareness without correction. Everything belongs. I'm just bringing my awareness to it. And without turning it into a self-improvement, project. Because here's what I've learned. That the psyche recognizes itself when it's not under attack. Integration happens when things are peaceful, when the fighting stops, and not when I finally get it right. It's when I stop making myself wrong. Ooh, that's good. It's not when I finally get it right. It's when I finally stop making myself wrong. That's acceptance. That's putting a Buddha on it. So here's an experiment for you this week. Notice where the inner war shows up. Thank you, Dorota. It's always great to see you, sweetheart. Notice where the inner war shows up. Where is it in your body? Is it about your body? Does the inner war show up about your body? Oh my God, my body. Or about your productivity? Or is it about your timeline? I'm behind. Is it about your relationships? Where does this inner critic show up? I should be better. I should be thinner. I should be more spiritual. Where does it show up? Does it show up in your comments and thoughts about your body? Does it show up in how far along you are in comparison to others? Does it show up when you feel like you're behind, not being productive enough, not being focused enough, not being clear enough? Where does it show up? And when you feel that small internal tightening, the inner critic, instead of correcting yourself, Buddha on it, baby. I'm going to tell you, put Buddha on it. Put a Buddha on it. That's a good idea. Let me tell you why. That was not approved by Michael. Thank you, Michael. Michael says, I always love your talks. Put a Buddha on it. Put awareness on it. No judgment, no fixing. No judgment, no fixing, just presence. Just awareness without judgment. And it becomes less a war. And when the fighting stops, you might be surprised at how now. Oh, Susan, I love you. I miss you. All right. Buddha on so little time, so much to do. Put a Buddha on that shit. Yes, Selena. I love it. Okay. Many blessings. I'll see you guys next week for our next Walking the Path. Thank you so much for joining. Many blessings. Ciao.